Sitting here with Lake Forest High School coach, Coach Matheson, Jim Matheson.
Yeah,
What's better for you? Either one.
either.
Um, so what you've been? And I looked this up yesterday. You've been coaching for over 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
started. Well, I was at Waukegan. I did my student teaching at Waukegan, and then
okay,
I for a couple years, and then came over here in 2003. So 2002, I guess. So
and
it's
then
been
I guess the run of Lake Forest High School golf's been decent from then till now.
a decent
um,
run, yeah, for sure.
right. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I guess kind of how did you first fall in love with golf and then want to get into coaching?
Well, that's interesting. So I'm the youngest of four boys.
Okay.
We grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago, and um, we were members at Calumet Country Club,
Sure.
and we, my brothers were all obviously playing before me, and my parents would kind of just drop us off there, and that's what I did. So I won my first tournament when I was four.
Stud.
I'll never
Nice.
forget. Yeah, we played. We played. I'll never forget. We played the 10th hole and the 18th hole coming back, two par fives. I made
Nice.
it a 12 and a 14. I'll never forget it. So, um, that's like one of my earliest memories. So, golf's always been just something that I've done. Like, I always
Yeah.
think, I wonder what life would be like if I didn't have golf, or would I
Mm.
start playing now? But it's just been something I've always done. So, I got into teaching, and then, the sports have been a huge part of my life. I played volleyball in college and golf in college, but, it's just something that I've always done. So the, progression into coaching was just something that was, goes along with the teaching thing. And, it's the cool part of, I mean, teaching's great, but, when you get kids on another level in a sport that you like and doing stuff that you like, it's the best.
Right. That's well said. I guess going off of that, what's your favorite part of the job?
The coaching job,
Yes.
um, you know, definitely when you get to the end, when it matters. The
Right.
beginning, a little bit of a grind, and you know, the Saturday tournaments at, like, you know, Buffalo Grove or Wheeling or something. Yeah, it's great and it's fun, but trying to get ready for the end when it matters, and
Yeah.
you know, love seeing kids like perform like their best when it matters. On the, like, playing at the Den. I kind of put everything, on that pedestal. The, how do you play at the Den is really
Yeah.
shows a lot.
For
Or
sure. And then I guess going off of that, how we mentioned the success. How many state titles? Five? No.
four,
Four. Okay.
four.
Five coming.
Would have had five without COVID.
There you go. There you go. What have you kind of learned, and has your coaching style, kind of evolved over the last, let's say, 20 years based on, the good play of your kids?
Right. That's it. So right at the beginning, I had, like, probably the best team in Illinois history in
Okay.
2004. They were incredible.
What
So
what kids were on that team?
it was like Timpson and Post and Kyle Willis, Ryan Linton, Graham O'Connor
Yep.
Brooks. What's up,
Nice.
Graham? Um,
Shout out Graham.
so those kids were, there was six kids that were arguably like some of the best kids in the state, all on the
Right.
same team. Um, so that was a special group to start with, or right at the beginning of my career. But what I've learned is, we're here for 2 months of the actual playing time. So a lot of it's just, getting you guys together. As you know, we ate together a lot and hung out
Yep.
a lot, and I totally promoted you guys just being together, and that you guys are trusting each other, and that, golf's hard enough, but when you add the whole team aspect into it, of, you got pressure not only to play well, but now you got pressure from four or five other guys to play well. That's just another unneeded pressure, I guess. So the more that you feel like, hey, you have this role, you're our best player, you need to shoot well. You're our fifth player, yeah, you're shooting 78. The formula is a little bit different in high school. That, I
Right.
guess that the things I figured out over the years. Yeah, you need a stud. If you're gonna win, you need a stud. You need a decent number two, and then you need four guys that can shoot around 78. You
Right.
know, and
The glue
if you
guys.
right
Yeah.
exactly, so it doesn't matter who, but
Yeah.
you can just kind of sell it that way. It seems to work, and it's about like taking the pressure off as much as possible and making it fun and not and ultimately that's what it is. Yeah, how many kids go on and play college golf from here? Yeah, we definitely have more than other schools, but at the same time, it's something that you remember. Like I always told you guys, you're going to see each other in a bar in 8 years from now, and you're going to be, oh yeah, I remember we played golf and
Yeah.
we're being at Lake Bluff and stuff like that. So that's what really matters.
Right.
Yes.
And now I see that that's a very true statement. Seeing Patrick Moorhead and Manfred. Yeah. um, I guess going off of kind of the good run of players, and I mean, well, you've had so many. Have you learned anything from specific players? You mentioned, I mean, Ryan Litton's a stud. You had Ian Mankoff, Willis. Have you learned anything from different players?
Um, you know, you can tell the special players about first, their attitude going into. You're definitely in that category. I've seen
Oh, well,
hundreds
that's nice of you.
hundreds of golfers, and kind of their attitude from when they step on the course to, how they practice, how they warm up, how they carry themselves,
Hmm.
and just it's a big confidence thing. It's in I remember talking to you about this of you get to a certain point in your career and you don't ever like look back, like when you start shooting 70, don't ever look at shooting 78 again. When you
Right.
shoot 68, don't ever look at shooting 75 again. Like it's not an option. And I think that just builds from confidence, and that's what I've seen from I remember Nick Hardy,
Hmm.
one of my players, like on other teams, and
Yeah.
I love when I see his success, even though I obviously wasn't coaching him, but just being around him, and there's a fun kid, but on the course was as focused as anybody, and could kind of separate being on the course and being off the course, but like his preparation and just his confidence on the course, um, you could just be different, and you can tell the kids that are different for sure. You were different, Hotfinger's different, you know. Ryan Linton was different. All these kids are just have a different.
Scott
Or
Freebird. Scott Freebird.
yeah, Freever's different too.
Yeah. Wow, that was great. Okay, I love the Hardy example. That's perfect. I guess going off of that, you look at kind of these younger guys and someone who may be watching this interview, like, gosh, how do I turn into maybe a little bit more of an edge player, or, what's the jump? I guess starting small. What do you look for from guys turning from JV team to varsity team? What's that separator?
Right. I mean, it's a big commitment. It's a huge jump from sophomore year to junior year.
Right.
There's schools a much more of a grind that junior year. You get cars, girls, and
Yeah.
just a whole nother different pressure that come on, and you see the kids that are dedicated to it. Joe Willis, for an example, I always give the example of Joe. Joe put golf first, and Joe would go out and have fun on the weekends and hang out, but it wasn't until after he was done practicing and
Yeah.
after he was done putting in all the work. And you were pretty much the same way. It's what you want, it's what you're dedicated to, and there's a level of dedication that you have to put into it. You can't just rely on your ability, because your ability is going to take you so far. But if you want to take it to that next level, it's you got to put the effort in, and it requires you playing in tournaments and getting that experience. But it requires you putting for
Yeah.
hours, and putting stinks. I get it. I get it's hard to practice putting, but it's half your shots. If you
Right.
can hit it in the fairway, you can hit it, somewhere near the green. You're gonna make some putts to either make birdies or get up and down, whatever it is. But
Right.
you got to hit it in the fairway and you got to make putts.
Yeah, and clarification: Joe Willis was 2011 state champ.
Yep.
Played at
Exactly.
Yale, stud.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Going off of that, you've helped me a bunch. I guess 4 years ago through the recruiting process. What would you tell a high schooler who's wanting to get looks from I guess any division of college?
Right, for sure. Obviously, playing well,
Right.
Gets their attention, but um, being able to like be in contact with these coaches, putting your name out there, and not being afraid to contact the coaches through Twitter. My son plays football, and I went through the whole recruiting process with him, and he lived on Twitter with these coaches, contacting them through Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. But that's today, and who knows, 5 years from now it's going to be something different, most likely.
Right.
But as of today, it's getting your information out there and not being. Everybody's kind of scared of like a bad round. People have a bad round, but you got to be able to get out there and put your scores out there, where you're playing at, tell them what you're playing, and have conversations with them so they know where to find you, so they can follow you, things like that. So don't be afraid to contact coaches. And it's hard to figure out where you want to go to school. I mean, it's a big decision for an 18-year-old kid to figure out, hey, that's going to be my best option. I should go here. I narrowed it down with my son. We're like, city schools, not city schools. Like, what's your? I mean, so that's what worked for him. He's like, I don't want to go to like a downtown school. That's just not. It's not something I want to spend every day in. Okay, well, let's start with that, and you kind of narrow it down from there. What do I like? What do I don't like? So, and then then reach out to coaches. I try not to like just steer kids into whatever place is going to take you. Then I'm going to go there. Whatever place is going to offer you to play college golf, yeah, that's great. But you still have to live there for 4-5 years. You have to like that place. You have to like that environment. So, but yeah, reaching out to these coaches of places that you would be interested in going to for sure is probably the biggest piece of advice. And let people talk. Figure out people that know. People that have gone to that school, or people that know people. I guess so. Right. Be able to talk. I preach that to myself. You got to talk to people. You got to be able to reach out to people and speak with adults in a way that you can market yourself a little bit, and who knows where you'll end up. You're going to end up places that you never thought that you were going to end up, most likely.
Yeah,
so.
No kidding. I'd reiterate all of that. Couple fun questions. Besides the Den at Bloomington, what is your favorite tournament to play in?
Oh, man.
I know, that's a hard one, but...
Probably...
Well, I guess now there's so many good clubs hosting events, so...
There are. Yeah. Conway started hosting an event. That's pretty nice.
Pretty good.
Go and play out there. Anything with... the coaches are a big part of this whole thing for me as well. I mean, they're some of my really good friends. I hang out with them all season long. Then, all year long, I'm with these same guys. So, the coaches the tournaments where a lot of us are together, like Wheelings, there's 26 teams playing, and, probably half the coaches are my really close friends. So, hanging out with them.
Right.
Like,
that's fun. Yeah.
Dave, you guys, like, that's fun. But as far as like nice and probably the most prestigious, probably what Conway's been doing for us in the last 3-4 years here, where they invite some local teams around. They try to get the best teams around. I know I've got other coaches asking me, hey, can we get into that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I appreciate everybody out at Conway, and and Noel Wentz. I can't thank all those guys enough. All the pros out there, the memberships, for letting you can be the first to attest to that.
Oh, yeah.
how gracious they are to let you guys practice out there. Again, try not to overload it, but if we can get a group out there every so often around the range or whatever it is, that makes all the difference in the world. Going out to Lake Bluff every day is great, but to kind of take it to the next level, you want to see some
For
other
sure.
things, other courses, greens, things like that. So we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Nice. Well, we will end on that. Coach, thank you so much for your time. This is generous. And then I'm sure a bunch of kids will find this very helpful. So
I would love it.
thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah,
reach out to me anytime. But
I know.